Hey Star Wars fans, welcome back to Star Wars Hangout. Lottie and I are continuing the Rebels Rewatch. Now, the following episodes were pre-recorded this past summer. We are now posting all of Season 1 here on Star Wars Hangout. If you have thoughts on Rebels Season 2, get those transmissions in ASAP, and we'll feature you on the show. Thanks for listening, and may the Force be with you. Hey Star Wars fans, welcome back to our Star Wars Rebels Rewatch. That is a mouthful. Friends, I would like you to know that I've taken on a Padawan learner. I have taken her on. She is ready to learn the ways of the Force. She is ready to embark on a journey through Star Wars. Now, sweetie, the question I have for you is, will you finish what you've started?
Wow, I did not expect that question right from the beginning here.
I know, but people want to know. People want to know. Because this is a question in Star Wars. Yoda asked Obi-Wan in Episode 5, which you've seen, we're going to talk about. He says, will he finish what he started? And then that's when Luke says, he's like, I'm not afraid. And Yoda's like, oh, you will be. You will be. So it's just one of those things, you know, you have to make sure, as a master, you want to make sure that your apprentice, that your Padawan, is ready for this lifestyle, is ready to go into, are you ready?
I am ready.
You're ready. Okay. She's ready.
I'm excited.
Okay, good, good. All right, friends. So what we're doing, we're actually going to do a Rebels rewatch, and Lottie has never seen it. So, by the way, this is Lottie's first time, right, on hyperspace?
I think it is, yes.
Isn't it? Okay.
It is, yep.
Okay. I feel like we've referenced you on other, you know, different things and different projects or whatever. But yeah, this is your first time on Hyperspace Hangout, so pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, so what we would like to do, and is, you've never seen it, and I think people really enjoy kind of they get to re-experience what it was like to go through Rebels or go through something the first time because you've never seen it, so you have no idea. And for context, I'm going to explain to folks, like, so what Lottie has seen, episodes 1, 2, and 3. Right. Right. And what else? What else have you seen? Outside of 1, 2, and 3, you've seen episodes 4?
Yeah, 4, 5, and 6. So we have not finished episode 6 yet.
Right. We're right in the middle of episode 6.
Right. So, yeah I'm a Star Wars newbie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm ready to be your Padawan. And I just want to, learn more because you're my partner, and you're so passionate about it, and you're a true master.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's why I'm here to learn and here to ask the questions.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, like we talked about this. We've gone back and forth on it. I just was like, I'm so pumped about Rebels. I've been such a huge fan of it. I've been a huge fan of Star Wars for years, and so like, you first introduced me to Avatar. So,
right.
Yeah, and I was gonna make this connection. So like, Dave Filoni started off with Avatar, and he worked on that project.
The Last Airbender. Yes.
Yeah, The Last Airbender. And so I was like, you know what? You would love this. You would absolutely love this. So we've got you some Star Wars context in that we've watched episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then just like along the way, we've kind of watched those here and there. But this will be our first real grind, you know, like where we're really just grinding out episode after episode. And we like to sit down and have a salad and eat, and then do our thing, and then kind of.
Just got back from the gym, had a salad with some salmon and some roasted walnuts, you know, and
yeah, it's good.
What kind of laugh was that?
That was a great laugh. Are you kidding? Are you
can
kidding?
Still tell I'm nervous sometimes.
It's okay. I'm sweating over here because I want to make sure that you feel good. Actually, I'm still sweating from the gym, which is probably gross for folks, but I don't care. All right. No, the cool thing is that like with Hyperspace Hangout, it's just a hangout. You know, we just hang out and we have a good time. So. And this is also one of the things, too, so we'll mention here at the end of the show, kind of drop some of our social media links and stuff. Lottie really wants to practice, you know, kind of like being on the shows with me and podcasting and stuff, and then, you know, editing skills and different things. She's got her own projects she's kind of working on, so we'll talk about that later, some fun stuff. But really, you have wanted to get into Star Wars. Your brother is a huge Star Wars fan.
Yes,
correct?
Shout out to my brother. I don't know if he will ever listen to this, but if he is,
he might have
that would be amazing. Yeah, shout out to my brother. I love him. And yeah, he is into Star Wars big time. He and his girlfriend, they love Star Wars. And I don't know, we never...
Will he be blown away that you're on this?
Probably, yeah.
Probably,
I
right?
mean, we never watched it together. We watched a lot of things together when we were younger. He introduced me to, video games, Pokemon, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we never watched Star Wars together. So.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, Star Wars is a different thing. Like, I remember when we first started watching, like you liked episodes 1, 2, and 3, right?
Yes, I did.
I felt like when we got to 4, you kind of fell asleep. I'm not really sure, but you might have fallen asleep. And then I feel like episode 5, though, you were locked in.
I was.
Right? So that was interesting. I wish we would have recorded those experiences. We'll have to, we'll kind of keep you guys.
We will do a rewatch.
Yeah, we'll do a rewatch. Yeah. So again, I labeled this as a rewatch. It's a rewatch for me, and it's gonna be a rewatch for a lot of people who kind of join us. And when I do the Rebels talk, it's like I'm gonna give you some context because you've already had questions like, now hold on a second, who is that guy? And then what is this thing? What is this item? So I feel like it's been out for so long that it's totally fair to give you context. So if you're somebody who's like, oh yeah, I want to rewatch this. Like, no, it's a rewatch, and we're gonna be talking about it in terms of a rewatch, even though Lottie hasn't actually seen it. So that way it invites more people to come to it. Because there's not a lot of people out there who are like, yeah, I want to hear like a non-spoiler version of this.
Right.
So I feel like we might get into some spoilers. So I just want folks to know. But I'm pumped. I actually am going to message your brother and be like, she's on the Star Wars podcast now. Like, what's up? But you're a huge Harry Potter fan. And so, like that's, you're into different fandoms and kind of nerdy stuff. So I feel like Star Wars is, like you said, you're a newbie and you're ready to jump in and learn. So, yeah. Okay, let me start off with, so we are in episode 1. We're in season 1, episode 1, Spark of Rebellion. This is part 1. So we'll do that for this episode. And really, every time we watch an episode, we're going to sit down and then talk about it. We've actually seen the first 4 episodes, but now we've gone back and we rewatched episode 1, and then we're going to kind of talk about it. Then we're going to watch 2, 3, 4, and then we'll keep going from there, right?
Right.
So just so you can get used to the names, because like if you only watch one episode of this and you then bounce right into like what are the names and stuff, it's kind of hard, because they're all new. They don't attach to anything really. That's like, you don't hear a lot of names from episodes 1, 2, or 3 or episodes 4, 5, and 6 in Star Wars. So this is like its own kind of thing. Right?
Exactly. And I love having you by my side. I can always ask you again, like, oh, hey, wait, who was that guy again? And how is he connected to that person? And I love that. Yeah.
So I'm pumped to do this. So again, okay, season 1, episode 1, we've got Spark of Rebellion part 1, and I'm going to read you guys just a quick sort of summary of what happens here. So we have our street thief, Ezra Bridger. He's an orphan on Lothal. So we looked at the planet Lothal. It's got all those grassy kind of plains and stuff. It looks awesome, and I cannot wait. By the way, Lottie is an artist, and she can do some really good artwork. And I'm hoping maybe one day, we'll get some artwork on Lothal, because I've always thought it was beautiful. So, and that's an Outer Rim world. He interferes with the theft of blaster rifles from the Empire by 3 ghost crew members. So you've got Kanan Jarrus, Sabine is there, and then the Lasat, Zev. Ezra ends up stuck with the crew while making their getaway, and also meets the pilot, Hera Syndulla, and her C-1 astromech droid, Chopper. Chopper is wonderful, actually. Ezra finds a lightsaber in a holocron in Kanan's room and steals the holocron. The rifles are sold to buy food and information from black market dealer crime lord Vizago. So remember that Vizago guy, right, who was kind of negotiating stuff. The food is given to the displaced people of Lothal, while the information leads them to the location of several Wookiees that are captured by the Empire. So that's your summary of the first one. So again, this episodes 1 and 2, they're both titled Spark of Rebellion. So it's part 1 and then part 2. I guess, what are your just initial thoughts? What did you think about the first episode? Did you like it?
Yeah, it was cool because you dive right into the action. Really, you get to be the spectator of a theft, but you think. You immediately know those are the people we're rooting for here. So, but why are they stealing stuff? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that is the big mystery. So all along we're thinking like Ezra is also trying to steal something, and then these 3 crew members are stealing something, and so it's sort of like, what's up? Who's and what's in the crate? We don't know the whole time what's actually in the crate until the end.
Right. Yeah. What are they even stealing here? Right.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think the characters are cool. And it's cool that the way they meet, and we initially see that Ezra and Kanan, they have a connection of some kind because they can feel it. Yep.
Right. Like when he's looking down and he sort of sees what's up, he's running through kind of the streets of Lothal, and he senses something, and he looks and he sees Kanan. And what's cool is he's like, huh. And then he like turns away, moves away, and he's looking at Kanan's back. And as soon as Ezra disappears, Kanan turns and has sort of that look in his eye that like something was there. I felt a presence in the Force. And you're like, okay, let's go. So they're already kind of sensing each other, and I just think that's a really cool way to begin. So now we're talking about the Force, and we're talking about potentially, we know where this is going to go. Kanan pulls out his lightsaber at some point. So to back up real quickly, the very, very beginning of the episode was the Grand Inquisitor, the guy who was kneeling before Darth Vader, right? You remember that? Darth Vader's in the holocron. Sorry, not holocron, the hologram. Right. And he's talking to the Grand Inquisitor, and he's basically saying, like, okay, we've done a good job, but now Emperor Palpatine has foreseen that there is a new threat, the children of the Force. And it's really this kind of cool thing. So do you want some context on that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay. So like the Inquisitors are, after episode 3, you had the hunting down. You saw it's called Order 66, where all of the Jedi are being attacked by their own clone troopers, right? And there's this attack that's happening. Anakin is turned to the dark side. He fights Obi-Wan. Yoda goes and fights the Emperor. They both kind of lose. I mean, Obi-Wan beats Anakin, but like doesn't he leaves him for dead on Mustafar. And then then he leaves, and Yoda gets defeated by Emperor Palpatine, which means Palpatine can go pick up his apprentice, and then that's how he becomes Darth Vader. So, but you had a whole operation where Palpatine was trying to destroy the Jedi. So he makes this group known as the Inquisitors, and that guy that you see kneeling down is the Grand Inquisitor. Okay?
So he's the main guy of all the Inquisitors. He oversees all the other Inquisitors.
Right, exactly. And you haven't seen it yet, but I don't think it's too spoiler to tell you this. He has a lightsaber, and it's red. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? So he is then talking to Darth Vader, and Darth Vader is telling him, again, the enemy now is the children of the Force. If you find any of them and they're being trained by Jedi, take them out. Right? If you can turn a child of the Force to our side,
that'd be great.
That'd be great. Yeah. But if you can't, eliminate them. Right? So that's just kind of hanging there, and the rest we never get back to that at all in the first 2 episodes, especially in this first one. So we just kind of follow this band of rebels, okay? And so we'll bounce back now to the connection that they have. There's this heist going on, and Ezra gets involved, which is awesome. They're kind of the Imperials are there. They're looking through the crates and everything, and so he's after the connection. So Sabine is there, and the fight kind of breaks out, and it's all this fight over the crate.
Right?
Who can acquire it? This should be a routine mission for the Spectres,
right?
Okay, for Phoenix Squadron, but something goes wrong. So like later when they get back, Hera's like, "What happened?" And what happened was Ezra Bridger. He's the thing that happened. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a cool moment. Did you have anything else written down there?
Yeah, I think it's super cool that we get to see how skilled they all are. They all have their skills, and for example, Hera is I was gonna say the driver.
Yeah, the driver. She is the driver.
The pilot.
Yeah, she's the pilot.
She's the pilot, and then we learn that there is that special connection. So what's his name? Kanan is really special, and I for some reason I love Zeb.
Yeah,
he's so cool, and I love his weapon. And we learn more about that later.
Right.
But yeah, he looks like a female version of Tigress and Kung Fu Panda.
Really? Yeah.
But like really, I don't know. Yeah, we learned they're all. They all know what they're doing, and they've been doing that, and they're a great team. They can always talk to each other. So I love how we get introduced to the group, and major takeaways from here. So there's 2 major takeaways. So one, I loved when Kanan said, "It's not who is first, but who is last."
Yeah.
He says that to Ezra because Ezra's claiming
Right.
the whatever they stole,
Cargo.
the
Mhm.
cargo,
Yeah.
because he stole it from them,
Right.
or he saw it first.
Yeah, and he acquired it first. Like he
Yes.
got to it. Yeah.
Right.
So
He
I
got
was
to
there
it first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they tried to knock out the
The troopers.
troopers, and Ezra came in and just got the goodies, and
Right.
he's like, oh, it's mine because I got there first. But Kanan says, no, it's not who is first, but who is last. And I like that because it's true for so many things. It's not who is first in line, who is the fittest first, or
Yeah.
who's
It's not
who
really-
has everything figured out first in life.
Yeah.
But it's more like about who in the long run will succeed.
Keeps going,
Yes.
keeps finishing.
Love that.
We often say in meetings too, like it's not the person who interjects the first that has the best idea. Normally, it gets the conversation going, but normally the people who are sitting there waiting, thinking, and like again, you can be the person who says something first and last, but as long as you're evolving along the way. So yeah, that is kind of a cool moment or line and something to think about, right? Teachable moment, I guess, from Kanan to Ezra. So
Right.
yeah,
And then the second moment I loved was when Ezra realizes what the Phoenix Squadron really does, what they all do, what they're fighting for, and that they do it for other people, actually. They stole food and weapons to support other people that have nothing, and it's all for a bigger cause.
Mhm.
Because the whole time Ezra thinks they're just thieves like him. They just want to survive. They just want to make money.
right,
But then
Yep.
he realizes what it's all about.
right. Because at one
Or
point,
he's starting, I should say.
yeah, he's
starting
starting to
to
realize it. They are going back. So they pick him up. He gets in the ship with them. They're flying around Lothal, and they're getting away from TIE fighters, right? And they're like, "Don't worry, we're going to take you back to the planet." So they take him back to the planet surface. And he's like, "Well, this is not near my home, but it's clicks away." But they go to this place called like Tarkin Town, which is Tarkin he's a Moff, Grand Moff Tarkin, and he basically is kind of in control of some of the Outer Rim here, and he's created anybody who speaks out against the Empire. So that group of people that they're feeding, they are individuals who spoke out against the Empire, and so
Yeah.
he is there now. One guy comes up to him and says something like, "Thanks so much,"
Yeah.
or whatever, and he's like, "I didn't do anything."
Yes.
Right? So he has that moment where like, oh, I feel kind of awkward because I just wanted to steal this stuff, but yet they're giving this, they're doing a good thing and giving it away. So they were stealing it to literally give it away. What was he going to do with it?
Yeah.
Hoard it, keep it until
Right.
it rotted, and maybe he couldn't have ate it all in time, Like seriously, I mean,
Yeah.
so who knows? But yeah, it dawns on him that this is something kind of important. So he has a moment there. You're
Yeah.
right. That was good.
Right.
That was good.
And then the last question I had for you
Yeah.
was the moment, of course, we were all kind of
Oh, you're fine. You're good.
we're watching Ezra
Mm-hmm.
as something is calling him. Something is calling him from inside the ship.
Right,
The
yes.
ghost.
Yep.
And he discovers someone has Jedi artifacts.
Yes. Someone has.
And
Yeah.
right. And we see that Kanan catches him, so obviously it must be Kanan. And I raised the question, so where did Kanan get his lightsaber from? And is he a full Jedi?
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, Kanan was, and this is where we're gonna provide some background, some context or whatever. So Kanan was a Padawan, just like you. Just like you, he was once a Padawan. Okay, he was an apprentice. Depa Billaba was his master, and so she's a master. She actually is in episode 1. She's sitting on the council when they bring little Anakin in. Yeah, she's sitting there. Yeah. So his master was sitting there. Now she doesn't. I don't believe Kanan is. No, he's not. He's not her apprentice yet.
Okay.
He will be years later.
Yes.
But she's there. She actually is the apprentice of Mace Windu. And so there's this really kind of cool line where Mace Windu is the one who was fighting Emperor Palpatine. He has the purple lightsaber, right? Samuel L. Jackson is who plays him. And so he trained Depa Billaba. Depa Billaba trains Kanan Jarrus. And you can kind of figure out where we're going with all of this. So he's got a holocron. His master sacrificed herself during Order 66 so that Kanan could get away, so that he could go and survive. So when the Grand Inquisitor at the beginning says something like, yeah, or when they're talking, and Vader's like, the Jedi are still around. The children of the Force are there. If there's any Jedi that you find, kill those Jedi as well. Kanan is one of those Jedi who is still around from the time, who still has formal training. So like he's still formally trained by someone else who was formally trained. That's kind of where
Yes.
I say like, okay, that makes that person a Jedi. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Because he wasn't technically a Jedi apprentice. He never got to the rank of like Jedi Knight, but he was a Jedi apprentice.
Okay.
His name used to be Caleb Doom, actually.
Oh, okay.
So he changed his name, went on the run, comes across Hera, and there's actually a whole book, which we can read at some point too, about them meeting and the formation of their little crew. So,
Wow, really?
yeah, kind of a whole story.
Oh, I thought it was all new and the characters were all new, but there is a book on it.
Well, they made that. I'm trying to remember when that book came out, whether it was after season 1. Like season 1 comes out, and then I think they do like a backstory.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like season 1 comes out, I think, and I could be wrong about this. If I am, you guys can correct me. But I think then they wrote a book to kind of say, okay, let's talk about, because when we jump into it, there's already four members, 5
Right.
if you include Chopper, which you should. So like that's kind of a cool thing. So if like, how did they come together? How did Sabine join up? How did Kanan meet Hera? All that kind of stuff. I think it's what I've never actually read. I've only read the Cliff Notes of it. So that would be a fun one to read. Really.
Are Kanan and Hera a thing?
Are they a thing? So far, they've been saying things like love, or, she's like, okay. In the first episode, she says, okay, love, or something like that.
I didn't even catch that.
I know. This is why I didn't either. When I was going through, I was like, oh, shoot, there's that. I wondered if you were going to ask that question. I was going to kind of hold on to it, but she does say it out the gate. And they talk about the other members as if they're kids, so.
Yeah, that's cool.
As if they're, yeah.
Yeah.
So Spectre 1 is Kanan. He's number 1. And number 2 is Hera. Spectre 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's, yeah. Anyways, she's really cool. The ship's name is Ghost and everything. But yeah, so he has a holocron, right? So
Okay,
that
yeah.
remember that square cube?
Yes.
So right at the end of this episode, what we see after the food and everything, Ezra's really not feeling it. And he goes back, and as you said, he's got the lightsaber, which you said, but he actually, right before that, he found the holocron, the box. And so what's interesting about the holocron, it's kind of an information storage device that the Jedi used, but also, sweetie, the Jedi used holocrons and the Sith used holocrons as well.
Yes, and
Right.
they do. They still do.
Right. So there's this cool kind of, they contain ancient lessons, valuable information. They can fit in your palm. They glow. They can be different shapes. Some of them can be triangular. Some can be square. Lots of different stuff. But to like open them and access them, you have to use the Force. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of the whole thing. You've already seen the first couple episodes, so folks know where we're going with that. Yeah, like you have to open it. And this is what Kanan is going to have Ezra do, is to see, hey, can he access it? Can he open it and use it to acquire information? Does he have the Force? If he opens it, Kanan knows he has the Force. The Force is with him. He's
Yeah.
Force sensitive.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the test that they're wondering whether or not he has, because he sees him Force jump. Remember when he has the crate
Yes.
and he's running and he
Oh,
Force
yeah.
jumps, and they already sensed each other in the beginning of the episode. So like Kanan's on to him, and he's thinking, all right, something's up.
Yep.
So yeah, really kind of cool. Let me see here. Last couple things. So they are. Sorry about the geese there, guys. We got the window open because it's hot in here. Yeah, so they're on the ship. They're having a private meeting about the Wookiees. At the very end
Right.
of this episode, it's all about, okay, so now let's move on to our next thing. They got some information from Vizago when they sold sort of the weapons, the blasters. They got some food in exchange. Then they sold some of the whatever. So they figure out that like the Wookiees are being taken to. They're on a transport, and they know that they're captured by the Empire. They're going to be laborers, workers, slaves, and so they're like, we've got to go free them. We've got to go do something. They have this private meeting. Ezra kind of butts in right there at the end, which is cool. And I think the whole thing ends with they're going to free the Wookiees, and Hera's like, oh my God, here comes in like a Star Destroyer. This is a trap. And the episode ends with that. It says to be continued. She's trying to urge Ezra to go warn them. She has to stay there. The driver's got to stay there. She's driving the getaway car, and Ezra's got to go kind of warn them. right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of the end of episode 1. Yes, sweetie.
I have one more question that is a little bit off topic.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to remember. So the Emperor Palpatine, he's not really in this episode, really.
Right now, no.
Part of the show right now.
Yeah.
But is the Force with him? Is he a Sith?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember it.
I cannot believe you asked that question. This is why I love talking to people who are like new to Star. Like, is the Force with him? Technically, it is. Unfortunately, the Force is with him.
Okay.
It's just that the dark side of the Force is with him. That's so funny how you asked that.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, you probably were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe she asked that." That she forgot about that.
No. This is the thing. People forget that, like, when you come into Star Wars, there's so much. You know, originally I wanted to do kind of a Legends deep dive with you in books and stuff. I'm like, we should start with something way more concrete, like this, like watching something, seeing it, experiencing it. And I know you like animation and this style of art and stuff. So I was like, Rebels will be great because now we can talk about the things like Jedi, Sith, holocrons. We can kind of bridge episodes 1, 2, and 3 to episodes 4, 5, and 6. Yeah. And really, we got to spend a lot of time in that period. There's like a 19-year gap between episode 3 and 4.
Right.
So this is about 15 years after episode 3. So it's like 5 years prior to episode 5 or 4 maybe, before episode 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting like the rebellion is kind of forming and things are going on. So yeah, it's a really interesting time. But yes, Palpatine, who was the Chancellor Palpatine. In the first movie, he's Senator Palpatine, right? Then he goes to Chancellor Palpatine, and he all along, the Force was with him.
Okay.
The dark side of the Force was with him.
Wow.
Yeah, and he sat right in front of everyone, and no one knew that he was the Sith they were looking for.
Right.
And then he turns and he takes the strongest, the best of the Jedi, Anakin Skywalker, and he turns him to the dark side and makes him his apprentice. And he has this master plan, Order 66, wipe out all of the Jedi, kill them all. They're the enemy. And then he has control of everything. And now the public does not know. So the general public just thinks he's Emperor Palpatine. Right. But the Jedi knew, he's Darth Sidious.
Okay. Yeah. Now it makes sense.
You see?
His other name. Yep.
Yeah, he has another name, right? Yeah. Because that's his dark side name. But his public name to everyone is Emperor Palpatine. Sheev Palpatine is his name. Yeah.
And all Sith have that, they have Darth in front of their name. That's their...
They should, yeah. So like there's this whole idea that there's a rule of 2. So that there's a master and an apprentice on the dark side of the Force. And this kind of goes back into lore and legends, but like at one point there were thousands of Sith. And they fought thousands of Jedi. Yeah. But they kept getting beat. And so over time, and actually the Sith were their own worst enemy. Like they all wanted to kind of not only fight the Jedi and beat them, but they would fight amongst themselves and plot to be like number 1 on the council, the emperor of the Sith. Like they would fight each other and that kind of stuff, right? So then someone named Darth Bane comes along and he basically says, we need to go down to just 2, a master and an apprentice. And he creates the rule of 2. There should only be 2. Because at such a small number, they could hide in the shadows. They could so when Yoda says in episode 1, like, or Qui-Gon says, the Sith have returned. Mace Windu says, impossible. There's no way the Sith could have returned unless we would have known, right? But that's the whole point, is that they use deception, stealth, and they've stayed in the shadows.
They operate in secret.
Yep, exactly. Okay. And so there are other dark side users. Like, I mean, technically, Master Yoda, if he wanted to, he could turn to the dark side of the Force and use it. Okay. If he wanted to. Yeah. He doesn't. He doesn't practice in that side of the Force. He uses the light side of the Force. People often debate like whether or not Obi-Wan, when Qui-Gon Jinn was killed in episode 1, did he tap into the dark side to beat Darth Maul? Now, I don't think he did, but people are like, he looks angry. He's coming out of there like, going crazy and like getting after Darth Maul. but really he was just going in to avenge his master. He called upon the Force, and he goes nuts, and it's awesome. But like any of them could tap into dark side powers. But the Sith truly are kind of like the Jedi. They have their own code, their own way, the way of the Sith and everything, and I have to look up their whole mantra and stuff. But like, they're a whole different thing, and they've gone down to just 2. So when you start off, it is episode 1. You have Emperor Palpatine, and his apprentice is Darth Maul.
Okay, yeah.
The guy with the red face and the spine and the double lightsaber, right? So then Darth Maul gets defeated. Episodes 2 and 3, it's Count Dooku. So his public name is Count Dooku, right? And Count Dooku was once a Jedi, but Count Dooku's dark side name is Darth Tyrannus.
Okay.
Yeah, so he has a dark side name, okay?
Yeah.
Now Anakin, when he's Anakin Skywalker, when he turns to the dark side, he becomes Darth Vader. And they actually go ahead and since the Jedi are evil, you can't really say, okay, Anakin survived and now he's Darth Vader. They said, no, Anakin is dead. And Darth Vader rose. And he has this whole transformation where he's in a suit. So he has no public name. He is just Darth Vader.
Right.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah, and he is a dark side user, but then no one's why. Like, they understand that he's being employed. So Palpatine gets enough power to where he really is doing whatever he wants. And then they call him Lord Vader in the originals. Right. Yeah, so... yeah, it's just kind of an interesting...
Wow, yeah, I'm so sorry you had to go back that far, but I learned, like... That's
good.
There is no dumb questions, and when you're learning, and I'm a learner now, I'm your Padawan, so I gotta ask all the questions, because if you are afraid of asking the questions, well, then you never learn.
No, and I really wanted you to, because I want you to understand it, so that way when you see things happen in Rebels, you're like, oh... okay, I understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of a cool thing. Like I explained to you in this, Zeb, in the concept dessert, the concept, I haven't had dessert. Yes, maybe I had too much of it, actually. In the
Rebel ice cream, by the way.
Rebel ice cream, by the way. Shout out to them. I hope they sponsor the show. We had, the concept art is what I'm trying to say. Ralph McQuarrie is the guy who was the original concept artist for Star Wars. He made a couple different sketches of Chewbacca, and they used, I think, one of his versions of Chewbacca for Zeb. They said, okay. And that's why they call him a hairless Wookiee. And that's coming up in, I think, episode 2.
That is actually so funny that, when you know, once you know that, that's such a cool connection.
Right? I think I think it was really cool. And there's an old poster out there where they did kind of some concept art with his old, ideas or whatever. So, yeah, fun stuff like that. And I want to provide you context. And so if it comes up again, you're like, who is this person? Or even if you forget one of their names, just ask, because that's the whole point. And I think folks will have fun just kind of diving back into a rewatch. So we're doing it. We're trying to go basically every day. By the way, friends, like at least Monday through Friday, we're going to be hitting it pretty hard. We've got some travels coming up. I think we're going to Universal and stuff later on. But we're going to try to hit this pretty hard Monday through Friday. You're still going to have the main show, by the way. But like Lottie and I are just going to do a Rebel Rewatch. I might, like in the podcast feed, title it like RR, just the beginning of it, like RR1, or like I'll label the season like RR and then season 1, episode 1. So folks know what we're doing, and the RRs kind of indicate we're doing a Rebel Rewatch. Sounds good, right?
Right, yeah. That's a pretty good name.
Yeah. So, that's what we're going to do. Any other final thoughts, sweetie? You've seen the first 4 episodes. We're just talking about 1 and 2 today. So we just did number 1. We'll come right back with number 2. But any final thoughts on that first episode?
Yes, I mean,
it.
It's a cool way to dive into it and see how the whole rebellion... starts the spark of rebellion. Yeah. So, all right, friends. Well, if you would like to, we have a couples account. You guys can follow us at Fleur and Bill. We're going to be doing more stuff later on, projects and different things. So you guys can follow us over on Instagram there, and we post updates and stuff. You can follow Lottie at Charlotte Sue, and you can follow me at Womprat_2. That rhymes. That's pretty cool. So with that, friends, thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, may the Force be with you. Bye. Bye. Thank you. See ya. Juicy.
Juicy. Hey friends, thanks for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave us that review, check out our extra episodes on Patreon and Apple Premium. This is the way.